Hey, brothers, gentlemen, welcome to Wins and Lessons Friday. And you know what? Today I think is going to be a super cool one because, as I was saying to DJ earlier, hey, yo, Dre, I got something to say.
Oh,
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
You see this? Lisa comes in as the champ
She's
again,
straight
2 weeks
in.
running, but Richard comes in right behind, and
I
Jeff
know.
didn't quite make it.
Yes.
Jeff,
Third's always,
you're awesome,
third's
brother. I
always
don't care what
okay.
DJ says. You're awesome.
Yeah.
So we got Mr. Ridley back with us this week, straight back from his trip to Portugal. And he's brought a friend with him back from Portugal, so that's fine. But guys, here's the thing. Every week, as we kind of walk through the week since we've started the Wins and Lessons, the big question I have is, do y'all notice things that you never used to notice?
Yes.
Because I tend to be like, what just happened there? Is that a lesson? And it I guess it comes down to, I can revert it back to anyone that did the Go for No challenge that we had a couple months back. The one big thing is that I noticed the amount of no's and yeses where I never really took those into consideration, right? So it's kind of like, you ever had that thing where you're like, oh, I'm going to buy that vehicle. I really want that. And all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. You're like, I don't really see a lot of them. And then you decide you want it and you see them everywhere, right? And for Wins and Lessons, one of the big things this week, and Mark, I was telling DJ before you jumped on, the big lesson is stay in your lane. Understand your lane. And it's funny because I've had four or five students this week. I've had 3 situations in my own business this week. I've had the situation where you see something happening and it's like, okay, hold on here. Like, are you kidding me? And then it's like, hey, listen, whoa, this is my lane. That's their lane. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing for that, as DJ and I were talking about, was, who's our competition? Like, who is it? And it's nobody. It's us. We're our own competition. And, if you're in any sport, team sport, single sport, doesn't matter. And you're looking at getting better, who do you have to compete against? Yourself. Yeah. Your limiting beliefs, your limiting thoughts. In business, if you're looking to get better at your sales, you're not competing against the next salesperson. Sure, you can have a casual kind of challenge, but in the end, we're not competing against anyone besides ourselves. So in the end, it's what are we going to do to help ourselves get better? And the more time we pay attention to what everyone else is doing, the less time we have to work on ourselves. And I like as I'm saying it, the lesson is, well, yeah, that's for sure. But how many times do we during our week, when things happen, when we kind of go off on this tangent, or when we get tied up in somebody else's false emergency, what's that trigger that says, whoa, time out. This is my lane. This is the path I'm on. Great for everybody. I mean, it could go in multiple directions, right? You look at what you do day to day. I've talking to a salesperson this week. He's like, Dan, I got all these ideas and I share them, and all these other salespeople take my ideas and go out and sell, and they're killing it. I said, well, what are you doing? He says, I'm struggling. I go, why? He goes, I'm not implementing my ideas. I go, okay, well, you have great ideas. You're not implementing. Why? So we broke down to the root cause of it. And the root cause was this. We compare things we're not good at to things other people are good at. And when we stop and realize that, like, you ever done that? Oh man, my swing sucks. Oh, Mark has this beautiful swing. Good for Mark. Mark's probably worked on his swing. I have I have an acquaintance of mine that he'll play golf 3 times a year. And he'll shoot like 71, 70, 3 times a year. I had to play golf. I had to play 189 rounds in a summer to get to that. right?
Yeah.
Like, and he plays
The
3 times a year,
consistency.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, but I can't make this chip shot, but he can come out 3 times a year and make it. But why? Like, you know what I mean? Do you see how crazy that is? And we
Yes.
do it all day long,
All the
every
time.
day. And that was the big lesson this week was, okay, this is my lane. This is what I'm good at. Stop paying attention to everything else that's the distraction. Let's
Yes.
make it the best possible experience for everyone that wants to get into this lane. And,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was looking at a conference, and even as much as this morning, I've been on the conference sales page about 7 times because I'm debating about spending the money for the ticket, flying, hotel, and all that kind of stuff. And in the video, he says, here's the thing. Anything that you do, what's the outcome you want for your clients at the end? Because if you walk into it without knowing that, you're walking into it blindly. And it's crazy. So I started, because I don't know if y'all know, I got a new computer. So I actually typed out all of my notes and stuff that I keep at the bottom of my computer. And because I want to kind of put more. But here's one that in one of my courses I started taking that they say, and it says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Think about that.
Wow.
Right? Like aimlessly making sales calls, aimlessly talking to clients. And I was on the phone with a student yesterday. And I said, like, what is your mission for the first call? And he said, to get a hold of the traffic manager. I said, okay, that's given. But when you get a hold of them, what do you say? And he was like, well, I kind of, and I go, okay, stop. This should be like an instant throwdown, done. I remember back when my son was playing hockey and he was coming up in the ranks, and 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, they're all kind of just like a cloud chasing the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they hit like 12, 13, the chirping starts, the face-to-face starts, like all of the ego things start. I remember sitting down with my son and one of his buddies one day, and I said, here's the thing. It's as fine as a razor's edge on that teeter-totter. You can chirp and you can do all this. As soon as that teeter-totter moves, you better be ready to throw down. Because eventually you're going to hit a guy that's going to go, all right, and gloves are off. And it's just what it is. And they didn't really get it. And then one day my son was on, and he's in front of the net and he's chirping. And I'm looking, and you could just see the body language of this other guy, right? I'm like, oh, here we go. And the gloves were off, and it caught my son off guard. Like he literally headlock, pulled his helmet off, and my son was just like, holy shit. But that's that. It's go time. And same thing on our calls, right? So I was explaining to this gentleman that, if the prospect says, okay, go, there could be no crickets. Like you got to go.
Yeah.
Go time. And so that's what I mean by that goal, that end result that you're looking to get people to. And that's the focus. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of smoke. There's going to be a lot of fake fires. There's going to be a lot of like really false emergencies, as I often say. And how do you break through that? And that for me was the really big thought this week is like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? Like, what triggers can I create? How can I implement this to move forward? Because I actually found myself a couple of times this week lost in scrolling. And it's such a friggin' waste of time. Such a waste of time. And it's like, there's time for it. Like I've actually started blocking out time to be on social, to reply to questions, because I've been doing some LinkedIn courses with some people. And so like there's time for that. But I also find when I'm doing that, you have to be even more conscious about what that goal is.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying, okay, I'm going to go on social media for an hour a day, and you go on social media, all of a sudden you're like, and you're just scrolling. It's like, well, what's the purpose? What am I on here specifically to do? Right. So that was the big thought. And before we go any further, gentlemen, I have something to share that I would like to share with everybody. So y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do it.
It is our main man DJ's birthday today, so I figured I didn't say a thing off air, brother. I was waiting because I wanted to catch you off guard. I wanted to see your face, so that smile is bigger than ever. Happy birthday, my friend!
Happy birthday, man!
Thank you.
We are honored that you're here. We love you, brother, and I hope you have a super special day today.
Thank you.
I know your 14 kids are going to make it special for your
14 kids, 3 grandkids.
You know what? When
I don't know.
14 kids, you get a lot of birthday gifts.
I'm losing count. I'm just kidding.
So happy birthday, brother. Thought that was great.
Thank you
truly,
for that.
We're honored.
Seriously,
I'm blessed to call you a friend and colleague and anyone that is. Happy birthday, bro.
Seriously,
Jeff says, here we go. They're going to start pouring in now, DJ. You see how I did that? See how
I love it. Thank you. Seriously.
Jeff says, I noticed that your audience grew. Great content, conversation, takeaway knowledge daily. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
We're actually, yes, we're growing pretty fast, which is super cool. And
it's so fun. Seriously.
I mean, you know what's one of the funnest things to do is consistently raising the bar. Like just trying to consistently raise the bar, and not that we're not satisfied, but it's raise the bar, bring in, better conversations like yesterday's conversation.
Oh,
right. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. Like, wow, crazy, crazy.
I'm going to be breaking that down for probably months. Like just the whole concept of that, the idea of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
crazy. Justin says, it's bad when you get moved from buddy to acquaintance.
I was cracking up at that. I thought the same thing, Justin. I was like, hey, what happened?
So the thing is, we used to hang out a lot, and then we kind of grew apart.
Yeah.
But I still remember like going golfing and doing that. So that's the only reason why. It wasn't anything bad. It was just a matter of, we just grew apart. That's all it was.
I figured that's what
Jeff says, so why do we compare ourselves to others? That is the question. Answer this honestly and watch how you excel at what you do once you find out you have nothing to compare to. Huge.
I think
it's crazy.
I think going on that subject, just because you touched on it, I've always been I think everybody has a competitive edge to them. And I've proven it by stack rankings and using that mentality in lots of teams and I think there's 2 types of people only. There's people who love to win and hate to lose. And we could get into that another time, but I just think everybody's one of those 2 people. But I've always wanted to be number 1 on the list. So I'm comparing everybody else. I'm always comparing myself to everybody else because of that mentality. And it wasn't till I broke through and really realized that it's when you can realize that it's you against you, there's always going to be somebody better. There's always going to be somebody bigger. There's always going to be somebody stronger. There's always going to be somebody faster. There's always going to be somebody who knows more. And you just know that and realize how we are our own world. This world that we live in is way bigger. And there's so many people and so many things that we'll never know in this life. And when we just know that it's us against us and just are constantly can compare, like, okay, well, I did this yesterday. Well, I really fucked up here. Let me do this now today to make a difference. 10 minutes ago, I just fucked up. Let me do this or choose to. And it was Rico and the 2 choices. And then just realizing you against you. And it was like, the freedom that you get from that alone
is worth its weight in platinum.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
What were you going to say, Mark?
So I actually think it's okay to compare yourself to others. It's
please do share.
Because if you don't look across the street and whether you as an individual, the way that you raise your family, the way that you conduct yourself professionally, the way that you build your business, the way that if you don't have something to benchmark against, you could stay the same. Because you could just be considering yourself as being, I think I'm working at the best I can possibly be. I'm really enjoying this. This is awesome. But what you don't realize is that each and every time it's in you to do 1,000% more, but you just can't see it. You don't know how to get it. There's actually a movie that's just come to mind. I've never seen it. I've seen the snippet of it's like a high school football movie. The coach is trying to get the best out of the quarterback. He thinks he can only do X, and he has him crawling on his hands and knees with one of the other players on his back. blindfolded. And so, like, the kid thinks that he's crawled like 50 yards, but he ends up crawling all the way to the end zone because he didn't know he had that in him, but it's in him. It's in everybody. So if you don't look over the road or look at somebody else and say, like, I want to be that, or I should be as good as that, that's okay. Just don't get hung up on the fact that they are where they're at and you're not. Don't like then get to funk around you and like be like, oh shit, I wish I could be like that. If you want to be like that, that's okay.
Yes.
Then think about, well, how do I get like that? Just don't get upset that they, to your point, Dan, about the golf piece, mate, that don't be upset that they put the time and the effort in and you haven't.
Yeah.
So, they're there for a reason. It's okay to look at them. It's okay to say, I want to be like that. And then you have to set your plan out to like try and get like that. That's why I think, it is okay to compare and contrast. Otherwise you just stay in your own lane.
And I agree. Setting the benchmarks is perfect. And because you need a target, obviously.
Yeah.
And so
that's what it is.
That's how you find that's how I find my mentors now. That's how kind of the Bob Proctor 3 list he goes through. And one of them is find a mentor who's done what you want to do. And so the only way you can know or compare is, knowing that you want to be where this person is. So yeah, I think that sense of comparingness is good. But when you're always looking over and not noticing the small or celebrating the small victories, I think we beat ourselves up. I think this beats us up enough to compare that we just have to remember we can do, and everybody here, we are the most amazing being on this planet, and we all have unlimited, endless abilities. Every single person, and what you can do is up to you, and what you decide you can do. And I've seen that video that you're talking about, Mark. That video, I've seen that a million times. It's such a great YouTube like inspirational video from the movie. And yeah, that kid, he was blindfolded. He was beat. He was like. Cena is like one of the weak kids on the team. Cena, he was down on himself, and that's where I think the other side that you're getting to, we need those people around us that will help us know that we can do more than we think we can. And that's in that.
Well, I think that comes to trailblazers, right? So if you look like Roger Bannister, for eons, the 4-minute mile was impossible. I read a thing one day where it said, like, in the Roman days, they used to line the street with rocks, like big boulders, and then they'd put a person there and they'd let a lion loose, and they'd have to run to try. And they just figured the human body is impossible. It can't do it. And then Roger Bannister did it, and 11 people within 4 months did it after him.
Yeah.
Right. So I agree to a certain point with both of yours. Analogies is going to be, I think, but I think it's more of a trailblazer.
Yeah.
That says to us, okay, we can do it. So I agree that we have to not necessarily compare, but say, okay, my gosh, that person achieved massive success, like crazy success. That's great. I want to be there. And, it's Tony Robbins was big on it with that, what you were talking about, like what Bob Proctor says, where it's, find the person that's been there and don't go through all the trials and errors. Just attach to them and do what they say to do. Learn. And you're going to get there. But to Mark's point, don't get hung up.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times we get hung up and we get, paralysis by analysis. And we don't actually.
Maggie just said that, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. So shout out Mags. But yeah.
Richard says, happy birthday, DJ. And then Lisa says, happy birthday, DJ Flores. Enjoy your special day.
Thanks, Lisa.
So go, gentlemen. What do we got from you two today? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, Mark. We haven't seen you. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. What's going on?
It's been a couple of weeks. Golf. Well, so funny enough, something that we've just been talking about actually plays into my golf weekend last weekend in Portugal. It was a competition amongst kind of 12 of us that we've known each other for a long, long time. But I find myself playing against them and watching them and trying to compete against them. Like I'm watching their strokes, right? And I'm taking risks that I wouldn't ordinarily take because I'm 2 or 3 shots behind. And I'm trying to match them shot for shot. Rather than just focus on my own game and play my own game, I'm always looking over. And I know it's wrong, but that's the thing. Each and every time, I know it's wrong. I am awesome at giving advice. I suck big time at taking my own. I don't think I'll ever.
Are you the guy that
We all are.
says in your Mark? Are you the guy in your backswing when you're at the top of your backswing? You're like, it doesn't feel right, but I'll fix it on the way down.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. And then as the ball kind of like shanks out to the right, there you're like, yeah, I know.
I knew that.
Next time.
Damn
Next
it.
time. I'll do it next
Listen,
time.
sometimes you just got to remember the good old grip it and rip it. Just grip it and rip it.
But some lessons this week. Well, so I have picked up COVID. I don't know where I've picked that up from. May have brought it back from Portugal. Doubt it. I was actually tested on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday because I like to be super thorough, and everything was negative. Then yesterday morning, my wife started feeling rough, so we tested. But I don't know whether the lesson now is to continue to social distance or just live life as normal. Like, we've got some friends in the UK that have come down with it, and I'm like, oh no, that means you got to isolate yourself for a few weeks. No, it's just like a common cold now. We can all just walk around and lick each other's eyeballs and rub each other on the on doorknobs and stuff. It's all fine. So because the problem is my wife and I have it. Our son Baxter doesn't. So now we're like he's alone in the house on the other side of it, and we're kind of like trying to stay away from him. So I'm sure
a lot of Uber Eats in order to get them food for the day and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. There's your iPad. You just knock yourself out.
Did you get your food?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because my wife and I are tucking into our 4-course meal. So there were a couple of lessons over the last couple of weeks. I think just this little COVID session, the reason why I bring it up is just to remind yourselves that kids maybe not as necessarily as resilient as you think, because he's now like we're such a tight unit, and now even though we're kind of like 8 feet apart in the house, he can feel that he feels alone. So I'm making sure that we pay attention to that, and that we're not just flippantly saying, like, it's only for a couple of days. Because to a 9-year-old, a couple of days is, you think about that when you were kids, right? If somebody said, oh, you're going on vacation next week, you're like, it's so long. And now I'm thinking, crap, Christmas is just around the corner. So,
you must have a lot of customers in logistics, because everyone in logistics is thinking Christmas in the beginning of the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get my tree out tomorrow. Just to check out.
I just took my Christmas lights down last weekend. So let me tell you, I'm not looking forward to Christmas.
You took it down a little bit too early.
Let's stop talking about that right now. It's June 10th. Come on, stop talking about it.
Exactly. Well, so in a couple of weeks the clocks change, and that for me just feels like, oh shit, winter's just around the corner.
No. Hold on. What do you mean a couple of weeks? Time out. Where do you live?
It's the back end of June, right? 20-something of June.
No, is it?
No.
I thought it was like October.
Yeah,
they move again in October. I know you're a bit far north and get a bit frozen up there in the
I'm
brain,
lost now, because we already had the spring forward. We already had the clock spring forward, did we not? Yeah, we did.
Oh no, so I kept. Yeah, you're right. So I'm thinking about the clocks. I'm thinking. The equinox. So June 21. Once we get there, it starts.
Okay. So then the days start getting shorter.
Yeah,
okay. You had me scared there. I'm like, I thought they were getting rid of daylight savings. Now all of a sudden you're telling me there's a third one. Like, where have I been? Talk like, about in your own lane, not paying attention to anything. That's crazy.
I changed my clocks a lot. So it was just about the resiliency of the kids, and then from a wins perspective, great last couple of weeks, some good introductions to some nice referral partners, continuing to build out some really great conversations. My big win is I'm straight into work off the back of a weekend of golf. My son's graduation was this week from a lower elementary, so he's leaving 3rd grade, going into 4th grade. And again, I think the lesson from that is, again, it's about that. We think that kids are resilient, and I think most of the time they are, but he's having a bit of a hard time just mentally making that adjustment, that he's saying goodbye to his class buddies and he's going to be in a different class in 4th grade next year. I don't know if this is typical of most of the US, but the school that he's at, in his class, this year it was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. So they mixed them up. And then so next year he's going to be a 4th grader in a class with 4, 5, and 6. And the idea is that they can then, the older kids become mentors, and it's superb. But he's been with a lot of these kids for the last couple of years, some of them for the last 3 years, and now they're going to get split up. So it's, for me, the win is that it was just so like really emotional, and it was so great to see him like be really proud at the ceremony. But the lesson is still that resiliency in kids. Like this junk, you just don't assume that everything is fine. And so that's really kind of it. Like last week was excuse me, last week was mostly gearing up to going towards Portugal. So I didn't have too much that was going on. My head was in a different space. But this week it's all back on it. So we're exactly back on it, and looking forward to the weekend, spend some time with the family, and then straight back into it again next week.
That's awesome. DJ, before we get to you, we got some comments to get to. So Maggie says, haha, love it. So I think that's from Nerf's comment. Happy 26th birthday, DJ, while you celebrate your 32nd year on the planet during the 37th birthday party.
Thanks.
He says, I picked up COVID at Costco in a jar, had a great deal, buy one, get the entire family sick. Nerf. I'm already hiding eggs for next Easter in case we run out of eggs. Yeah, you know what? Like it's going to be interesting. Chocolate and everything with all the shortages. It's going to be crazy. Maggie says they've already changed. Nerf going political again. Biden just announced we are rolling back time to 1998 when he could actually remember with the things he says.
Oh,
Nerf. Why do you go political all the time, brother?
Sorry.
So Nerf. DJ, go for it, brother. What do you got?
So thank you. First off, Dan, thank you for that. I didn't know, and I was hoping you weren't going to do something, but thank you for doing that. So seriously, thank you for
a little birdie had a conversation with me yesterday. I won't say what birdie, but a little birdie.
Thank you for the happy birthday. But I will tell you. So Mark, you struck something that I just the last couple of minutes really want to touch on. Checking in with your kids, if you have kids, guys, young, older, any age, do it. I think that's part of the issue. A lot of parents, my parents weren't very great communicators with me or my brothers, and I'm sure we all have been taught that from the generations. And if you have kids, check in on them regularly. But I think even more than that, we all, you have a little internal kid. I think it's this, but that is, we need to check on too. You need to be observant of what you're feeling. Just like you're saying, Mark, about seeing your son and just knowing the little bit of spread, what you can feel. We got to feel that inside ourselves too. When you can really become aware of that and be self-aware of that, that is where the power really is. And so, Mark, I agree completely. That's kind of a mission. Actually, for the past few weeks, I've been just so my kids know that I'm always thinking of them, because my 3 older ones are somewhere else, all doing their own thing. My 2 younger ones are here. So I send a text every single day, the same text, same message. It's just positive. It's just something for them, for me, but it's just so they know and it's in the morning, but it's just so every morning they know, and hopefully it's the first thing they're thinking of, or think of, or one of the first things when they're picking up their phone. And so I do it early. I do it at a certain time, trying to strategically kind of send a message in my own way. But yeah, you have to be so aware of that for your kids, your loved ones around you, but most importantly, I think yourself. The whole you versus you, it is.
So it is.
I think there's deeper to that, but it is you versus you. And check in on that little kid inside you daily too. I think
that's awesome. So speaking of checking in, let's check in on the lane of the day. And was that a good transition or what? So what we're going to do on Fridays for the lane of the day, just because in conversations with Dean, it's a little difficult. We were going to kind of on Fridays, we were going to say, okay, what was the variations of the lanes of the day? Like, have they dropped? But a 5-day rolling rate really doesn't give you a lot of justification. So what we're going to do is we're going to review the week ending of 6/10. So dry van. Line haul rate per mile was an average of $2.02, which is down 4 cents a mile, and down week over week, down 4 cents a mile, but down 31 cents year over year. All in rate on average per mile is $2.76, and it's the same rate per mile as 2018. So when we look at 2018 and how we thought all these costs were so high,
right?
What we are now, when we're down, we're actually in that rate. On the reefer side, $2.28 a mile, that's down 4 cents a mile as well, and it's down a month over or week over week, and it's down 46 cents a mile year over year to an all-in rate of approximately $2 or $3.02 a mile. Now, that's 13 cents a mile lower than 2018, underpinning the slow start to produce season. So there, we're seeing a big reflection in overall rates across the board across North America. Now, flatbed, on the other hand, is at a line haul rate per mile of $2.64. It's been flat week over week, and it's actually down 9 cents a mile year over year to an all-in rate of $3.38. Now, to give you context, that's actually 18 cents a mile higher than 2018, underpinning just how strong the industrial economy is at present. And that's from our main man, the mad scientist of data, Dean Crook. So thank you so much, Dean, for that. You know, I think that's such a key breakdown, and it's so like, just the lane of the day, I think, is awesome, and it's going to.
I do too, guys. If you like it, give us a yes or something. Tell us you like it. But I think the comparing. I think we talked about this. And again, I know we got to shut down here, but we talked about this and comparing what year do we compare to? What is the closest to start comparing rates? I think 2018 probably is going to be the year, huh?
Yeah. And I do. I mean, you know, when you look at kind of the influxes, and Daman says, "Happy birthday, DJ!" Look, you got all sorts of little birthday hats there and everything. Look at you, you're rocking today, brother. Your LinkedIn's going to be blowing up. You know, I think it is.
Daman. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, you know, so here's the thing. In 2019, when I first met Dean, so it was towards the end of 2019. It was really interesting because we were at a TCA event. And it's when I first met Dean. It's when I first heard the data is the new oil statement. And
powerful statement.
Everyone on the panel was saying you can't compare 2018. It was such an anomaly year, right? Like, so you can't take a 2018-19 comparison because 2018 was, but it's kind of becoming that year now as we hit 2020 where it's a big comparison point. So you know what? From that respect, it's you know what? We'll get the mad scientist the data back here.
We're going to break it down. Daman had a question. Are those rates including fuel? I think you gave all in rates.
Yes. So those rates, Daman, are across the board, North America wide, including fuel. Yeah, on average from the DAT.
Yeah.
So DJ, and you know what? I wonder if there would be a way in the future. You know what I'll do next time is I'll pull up the data and use it as an overlay so everybody can actually see the data instead of me just reading it. So DJ, what do we got to take us out for the weekend, brother?
Man, you know what? I was actually contemplating this. I don't usually even talk to Maggie, but I was like, hey, what do you think of this? I didn't even go with that one. So that's what's crazy. But I did go with this one. But before to close out,
I was talking to Maggie. She had a really good idea, but I didn't go with it.
But I think
I just crept all over it.
Yeah, it was just not what I wanted to do.
It was the last second. Like, no, actually, I like this one. But anyway, so thank you, everybody. Seriously, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you, Dan, just for being you and making this possible. Thank you, Daman. Thank you, American Logistics, Centurion Trucking, again for sponsoring our show and making us a morning show at all. So seriously, thank you. If you're looking for a new home, check out the commercial at the end of this. People over profits. Next week we have a good week.
All of June is just killer.
Terry was crazy. Terry, it was so great to meet you. Yes, this week, Dean, as always. But again, so Sales Chatter Live, guys, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with us. Quote to take us out is from Roger Lee, and it's appreciate every moment of your life because one day you wish you had.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit.
Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion